Stampers, this is Heather Cooper of Playing with Paper Crafting. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Crafty Clues by Heather, short video tutorials on stamping techniques and tools. Well, today I'd like to bring you a little bit longer video because I'm going to show you how to make one of these beautiful illuminated easel cards from start to finish. Now, I was actually got this idea from Kelly Aitchison, who created a beautiful little Halloween card this way, and I thought, wow, wouldn't that be neat for Christmas? So I'm going to show you how to do that. First of all, you need a sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, Midnight Muse, and I'm going to cut it in half the long way. So I'm going to use the trimmer, and I'm going to line it at 4 1/4. And put down the guard. So I'm going to just cut the cardstock in half. There we go. And next we're going to score it at 5.5 inches. So I'm going to set it up at 5.5 inches there and use the scoring blade. The scoring blade is a lighter colored one. And I'm also going to score the left-hand side here in a different way. So I want to score it from the top corner right to where the first score line I made intersects the track there. And then I'll score it. Okay, and then you can see I have a score line here, and I have a score line here, and I did it all with this wonderful Stampin' Trimmer. Okay, so now we're going to just use our bone folder to make those scores and the creases nice and sharp. And this one folds towards the middle, like that, or folds under, I guess you could say. Okay, and now this forms the base for our easel card. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to create the window for our easel card. So we're going to use vellum, and we're going to stamp on the vellum using Midnight Muse and a stamp from the Snow Swirl collection. I'm going to use the tree. Okay, now, here's the thing. Midnight Muse and vellum are tough to work together with, so you're going to have to dry your ink and just let it sit for a while once you've got this stamped. And I will just, don't want too much of the tree on there because it won't show up through the window. Oh, there we go. Just be careful that it doesn't smudge, and set it aside and let it dry. You might even use the heat tool to speed up the process a little bit. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create our window, and we're going to use the designer frame folders, and we're going to take this gray piece of cardstock which measures 3 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches, and we're going to center it in the folder, and then you're going to run that through the Big Shot. You're also going to run the smaller piece through the Big Shot, and we're going to be cutting this out later, so it doesn't have to be perfectly centered. So I've already gone ahead and done that. So this is what we have with the two frames. I'm going to set this aside for the moment and work with this one. We want to create a window in it, so I'm going to use the extra large oval punch by Stampin' Up, and I'm going to punch out the middle. And that, if you take the cardstock right to the edge of the punch as far as it'll go, and then just center it on the sides, and then punch, you should be pretty well in the middle. And before I add the vellum, what I'm going to do is to decorate it a little bit with some of the snowflakes from Snow Swirl, the same as the tree. And I'm going to use the Midnight Muse for that. So I'm going to do snowflake down here, and one just off the page at the top, and then I'm going to put a couple of the little ones on because they're so cute. Okay, and now I'm going to add the sentiment from Teeny Tiny Wishes, the Merry Christmas. This is one of my most well-used stamp sets and sentiments. And stamp it, and there we have the sentiment. Show you the vellum that we had drying. And so we can add it to the gray frame. We're going to use some snail, and we'll put the snail actually right on the frame and kind of concentrate it around the oval frame there. And we can add our vellum. Just play around with it to get it sort of where you want it. Okay, and there we have our frame. And now we're going to prepare our card front. And so we're going to use our Illuminate pad and some of the stamps from Snowflake Soiree, the middle-sized snowflake and the smaller snowflake. And we're going to stamp them onto the Midnight Muse. We're going to get it inked up pretty well, and we're going to very deliberately stamp randomly on the page. And I don't know if the light's catching that, but it is really showing up well. Just make sure you've got your stamp really well inked up. And now we'll bring in the smaller snowflake. Should do it. Now what I'm going to do is make the hole so that the light can shine through the window. So I'm going to take it on the side and slide my cardstock in right to the end of the punch, and just make sure it's centered on the right and left, and then punch the hole. This is the 2.5-inch circle punch, by the way. Okay, and so now we're ready to attach the window, which is right here. I'm just going to add a little bit more snail, and maybe 1 or 2 at the top and bottom, and attach that to my card front. I'm going to bring in the base again now. I'm going to prepare the inside of the base. I'm going to use the Illuminate stamp pad again, and use the smaller snowflake to just add 2 or 3 of them. 3s are good. Everything looks better in 3s. I'm leaving the bottom right-hand side free because that's where I'm going to put the stop that holds the easel in place. Alright, and then I'm going to stamp Season's Greetings inside. Right up here so it doesn't interfere with the easel stop. Ready to punch holes in this part of the stamp. So I'm going to come in from the side because this is where about the same area. So right to the back of the punch, and the 2.5-inch circle again. It'll punch right over top of the fold. Don't let that worry you. And then we'll do it again from the top just to make it a little bigger, right about like that. Okay. Now before we attach the card front to the base of the card, we want to add the ribbon. And I've got some Midnight Muse satin stitched ribbon here. About 18 inches probably, maybe a little more than I need, but I don't like to, have to worry about it. And now we're ready to attach it to the base. And I've already added some snail to the base. You only want it to add to the bottom half of the base, otherwise your card won't be able to bend. So now I will attach the card front to the card base. We're almost finished. And we'll just burnish that a little bit. Okay, so now all we need is the stop that holds the easel up. So we have the other oval. I've stamped Snow Swirled, and I'm going to cut that out using the large oval so that it will fit just inside that the frame. So just center it in there and punch it out. Again, on Whisper White, that Midnight Muse can take a while to dry, so don't be afraid to use your heat tool to dry it off a little bit first so that it doesn't smudge. We had quite a time with it smudging at my last workshop when we did this card. Okay, there we go. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to use our paper snips, and we're just going to trim it right around, keep getting out of the range of the camera here, right around the outside edge of the frame. Take your time. Turn the paper with your hand, not with your scissor hand. Scissor hand. Heather scissor hands. There we go. There we go. All right, and now we're going to use some dimensionals, stamping dimensionals, and put them on the back. I think 3 will give us a plane. Let's see, 3 points defines a plane, so it'll sit nice and flat with that. And we'll just take off those little bits, and we'll attach it to our card. On the inside, right down in this corner here. And that will hold the easel up. Now, to give it just a little more bling, we're going to add some rhinestones, and we're going to use these smaller sized rhinestones. So I like to use my old pokey tool, paper piercing tool, and we'll add a rhinestone on the front, probably about 3 of them. Let's try this one here, and one in the corner. And there you have your Illuminated Easel card. We'll take this little votive, battery-powered votive, don't use a real one, and put it behind to illuminate it. And there you have the Illuminated Easel card. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and go ahead and try that yourself. It'll make a gorgeous gift for somebody. And please drop by my blog, Playing with Paper Crafting, for more card making samples and tips.